I've known Elon for, I don't know, quarter century. You should never bet against Elon, and you need to try something like the Doge thing, and that's actually what is going to happen.
Over 3 billion Twitter users ceased to exist on October 28th, 2022.
I think it's gonna be a glorious future. It's gonna be really something special.
Take over, Elon. Yes, take.
Hi everyone. As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
The survivors of the nuclear fire called the war Judgment Day. They lived only to face a new nightmare. The war against the machines.
Everything we've developed for our cars, the AI and first computer, it all actually applies to a humanoid robot.
The computer which controlled the machines sent the Terminator back through time.
I'm Peter Thiel.
Its mission, to fund a bunch of podcasts to brainwash the population into fascist ideology.
He's so old and he's been saying the same thing for decades.
The resistance was able to send a lone warrior, protect her against the culture war. It was just a question of which one of them would reach people first.
I think the Anglo concept of honor is motivated from within the individual. It dovetails with the idea of like individualism and freedom.
This is Anna Kachian. She's a Russian pseudo-intellectual and co-host of the Red Scare podcast.
Elon Musk 6'2".
Oof.
What a f***it he is.
He's a Nazi. It's like I've always said that Elon Musk has like the cold dead scare of like a Third Reich executioner. It's like these people are horrible. They're like
He's
the new
horrible.
Elon Musk is such a wonderful and amazing genius, and why I stand him in the end.
Totally.
Like
Elon Musk
basically-
is a very powerful person.
Yeah, like
He
anybody who is
has-
capable of thinking for themselves is on Team Trump. It makes me feel comforted to see a bunch of like corn-fed, nice, tall white guys just hanging out in charge of the country.
The other host of the Red Scare podcast, Dasha Nekrasova, won't be mentioned much in this video because, well, she's not exactly the brains of the operation.
You people have like worms in your brain, honestly.
I mean, you're the one who can't answer the question.
What question?
The question is why you support socialism.
How's your thing going?
Good.
You guys, yeah.
Oh yeah, really good.
You guys are racist or something? What's going on there?
Yeah, we're right wing now.
Right wing.
First we were in socialists, and now we're.
That's cool.
You guys went from Bernie bros to Trump supporters. You basically had the same arc as Joe Rogan. How did that happen?
Well, Anna hates this because Anna wasn't ever really a proper Bernie bro.
I will go on record and say that I've never been a leftist or a Bernie bro.
Okay.
I've always been a Trump supporter, but I was playing it cool and not going too hard on it because, like I'll be frank about it, out of social cowardice, because I didn't want to fear any reprisals or repercussions. But if you listen to those early episodes, you can hear that
Closeted.
I'm crypto MAGA.
Crypto.
I mean, people say that we did like a right-wing pivot, maybe cynically, but I don't really see it.
But somehow, the Red Scare podcast is pulling in almost $50,000 from over 11,000 supporters on Patreon.
Sorry, I'm like I'm going on Patreon to see how much money we have.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, how'd we do?
Not bad.
Hey, look at that.
Hey.
Nice.
I wouldn't mind $1,000 extra on top of our existing Patreon earnings.
Patreon winnings.
I promise if this podcast does prove to be lucrative for us and we do make some money, I will do my best to redistribute my surplus wealth to the less fortunate, and I look forward to flicking crumpled $20 bills in the faces of my haters on the left.
Flushed with wealth and fluff articles touting them as gleefully offensive, it seemed that the Red Scare podcast was destined for both financial and social success.
Putin made waves when he announced that everyone should listen to the hottest new podcast, Red Scare. My dad was a numbers man, and my mom was a homemaker, and therefore I do race science on the radio. I'm a little scared of black people, but Russians and blacks have a lot in common. Alarming rates of maternal absenteeism, love of name brands, really bad taste in alcohol and cigarettes.
Did you watch any of George Floyd's funeral?
No, because I'm a racist and a chauvinist.
Because you're racist.
I'm a white supremacist, so it's been really funny watching American black people and other minorities around and find out. Yeah, the government's gonna have to find new ways to criminalize black people if weed is legal in New York.
Mm-hmm. Standing around.
Yeah, white quote loitering.
But you can only become so successful off of pandering to the center left. Eventually, if you really want to have a successful podcast, you sell out to whoever on the right will pay you the best. This is where Peter Thiel comes into the picture.
I'm Peter Teal. I build companies and I support people who are building new things, from social networks to rocket ships. I'm not a politician, but neither is Donald Trump. He is a builder, and it's time to rebuild America. I don't pretend to agree with every plank in our party's platform, but fake culture wars only distract us from our economic decline. And nobody in this race is being honest about it except Donald Trump.
Peter Thiel's famous for funding things not as investments, but to benefit his personal interests.
You know, one always has the illusion that that money can solve all problems, and it obviously it can't. And then there are, you know, there's sort of all these ways that it's probably, in some ways it's a good thing to have money. In some ways, you know, in some ways it's socially isolating. In some ways you don't, you know, one doesn't even want to be fully aware of how much it's changed, how much it changes the relationships with people.
Famously, Peter Thiel funded multiple lawsuits against the company Gawker, which eventually bankrupted them through the court process.
Do you believe you've set a dangerous precedent in secretly suing Gawker in connection with its publication of the Hulk Hogan video?
I don't think so. That if you're middle class, if you're upper middle class, if you're a single-digit millionaire like Hulk Hogan, you have no effective access to our legal system. It costs too much. And to hide behind the First Amendment, behind journalism, that is an insult. That is an insult to journalists. And that's why Gawker lost so catastrophically.
He's also funded a litany of political candidates to shill his futurist neo-fascist agenda, the most famous of which being part-time author and backup singer from Fall Out Boy, J.D. Vance.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? The media calls us racist for wanting to build Trump's wall. They censor us, but it doesn't change the truth. I'm J.D. Vance, and I approve this message because whatever they call us, we will put America first.
I want to talk a little bit about J.D. Vance, whose name has come up a few times. You gave $15 million to help him get elected in the 2022 midterms. It might be the best $15 million, arguably, that you've ever spent, but you'll tell me. And I think you introduced Trump to J.D. Vance in 2021 at Mar-a-Lago.
He made a great first impression, and then you know, we sort of worked together for a number of years.
But would Anna Kachian really take dark political money from Peter Thiel and then start spouting a bunch of racist, fascist bullshit on her podcast?
The haters think that they're mad at us because we're like fascist reactionaries, but they're really mad at us because we're optimists and we are fun and like to have fun, and they're miserable. My pussy definitely has separate entrances for whites and coloreds.
Nah.
that out. You know, fine, it's a joke. Black people like Jews and they like Italians because in the hierarchy of whites, Jews and Italians are kind of at the bottom as far as like American people go. Jews are like Russians or Italians. They're like whites that it's okay to be racist against. There are whites who are pressure valve for deeper, more socially unacceptable racism against non-white people.
Yes. Yes, she would. Here's how it all went down.
I like that people think I have a trust fund or like work for the CIA or Peter Thiel or something. I'm not going to bother to dispute or refute those myths.
People are worried about the Teal money that's circulating in
I know, that's what I'm saying.
amongst Manhattanites.
Yeah. That's like when people are like, Anna's on like Peter Thiel's payroll. It's like, I wish I could claim that honor.
How would he even dole out those payments? I don't understand.
I don't know.
What would he be paying you for?
Yeah, he's like not using PayPal, but
like
Venmoing instead.
Is it a per tweet basis or?
Yeah, I don't know how it would pay. I don't know how it would work. I don't think he's interested in female podcasters or women in general. Well, it makes me insulted, not because it's not true and it's like a vicious rumor, but because I kind of wish it was true. But maybe if they keep talking about it enough, they'll manifest it for us. We'll get some Teal bucks.
Then, after pretty much begging Peter Thiel to fund them, it actually happens. Sometime before April of 2022, Peter Thiel and political strategist Curtis Yarvin met with Anna Kachian about receiving money from the Teal Foundation.
People are so like oversensitive about Peter Thiel. Like this reporter got in touch with me and was like, can you comment on Peter Thiel and da-da-da? And I was just like, I hate when people are like, can you weigh in on this? Like, it's like Peter Thiel's a volume investor, meaning he has tons of money and he throws it. He's like flinging shit at a wall, hoping something sticks. Mm-hmm. He has his hand in all sort of ventures.
Yeah.
Like he's not trying to foment a dime square revolution by funding the likes of us.
Yeah.
And also, he can't afford us at this point because he would have to match our salaries.
He could afford us.
No, he could afford us, but there's no... He could afford us, but...
Mr. Teal, if you're listening...
We couldn't do anything for him.
Yeah. I guess the idea is that we're like, in spreading some trad, neo-fascistic idea, but that's literally not even what we're doing.
3 months after that article was released, Anna brought Curtis Yarvin onto the Red Scare podcast for a very special 4th of July episode that made sure not to mention Peter Thiel's name.
Liberalization is no match for any truly like ideologically possessed foe. And in order to vanquish that foe, you too have to become ideologically possessed, which is impossible and also undesirable.
I think it's, truth can be used for good or evil, obviously. And truth is sort of, when you don't really have, truth is, what you're trying to do when you do that kind of subversion is you're trying to create a source of truth and understanding, which does not have more prestige than the New York Times, but deserves more prestige than the New York Times.
In fact, Peter Thiel's name hasn't ever been mentioned on the Red Scare podcast since they had their special secret meeting back in 2022. Which is wild, considering he's a character that prior to that date had been mentioned quite a few times.
I've learned the hard way that the minute that you start vehemently denying things, people not only don't believe you, but hate you even more. I've met Peter Thiel. I've met all the Peter Thiel staffers, and they're all young people with daddy's credit card. They wine and dine and expense shit.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be an explicit strategy or motivations, at least I'm not privy to it. If people want to think that I'm funded by Peter Thiel, that's on them. They look like cards.
So what did the Red Scare podcast start talking about instead of Peter Thiel?
This horrible Jordan Neely, Daniel Penny subway incident. Mm-hmm. The homeless are really their own race. This kid is really crazy to have pulled a stunt like that on the subway, knowing the optics. Of course, it was an of-the-moment decision, but we live in post-Floyd America. A homeless, drug-addicted
young black man is literally the closest you can get to sainthood, and a white, blonde-haired former Marine is the closest you can get to the Antichrist.
Yeah.
On May 1st of 2023, Daniel Penny, a 24-year-old former Marine, fatally strangled an unarmed homeless man by the name of Jordan Neely on the subway.
That's the Marine veteran who put a man in a chokehold on a New York City subway, resulting in that man's death.
Penny, a Marine vet, was captured on now infamous video holding 30-year-old Neely in a chokehold on the F train near the Broadway Lafayette station. The medical examiner determined Neely's death to be a homicide, sparking protests for weeks after Penny was originally questioned by police and let go. He has since been charged with second-degree manslaughter and is out of jail on $100,000 bond.
And then some people say that this is about race, which is absolutely ridiculous. I didn't see a black man.
Daniel Penny was praised as a hero on the right for killing a black person. In their minds, Jordan Neely was a violent criminal who needed to be put down. And Daniel Penny was a vigilante savior protecting people like Batman would.
This was not just reasonable behavior by Daniel Penny, but potentially heroic behavior by Daniel Penny. Our society, to be absolutely clear, needs more Daniel Pennies.
The fact that this ended tragically does not mean that the Marine in this case meant for it to end with the death of Jordan Neely. He clearly didn't. If he wanted to kill Jordan Neely, he clearly could have.
That heroic Marine will now be charged with second-degree manslaughter by the New York District Attorney. That Marine should be given a key to the city because the killing was obviously justified.
Keep in mind that most of the people who believe this have never ridden the subway before, let alone set foot in a big city. The obsession with Daniel Penny stretched far beyond a regular topic for the Red Scare podcast.
So there's like protests.
Oh yeah.
But they're nothing. They're like trying to meme it into another like George Floyd summer, but people are not having it. And it looks like there's like max like 100 people.
Yeah.
Who are all
taking over the train tracks.
So embarrassing.
Getting precariously close to that third rail.
So embarrassing.
I know.
And yeah, like you're all clearly really like maladjusted and like need to get a life.
These protesters are really carrying on Jordan Neely's legacy by being as much of an annoying, chaotic nuisance as possible. I was thinking how a really cute couple's costume would be
Daniel Penny
and Jordan Neely. I had that thought too, and I was like, this is too much.
It's too much. It's not a good idea.
It's like, you know, one of those
It's
costumes
in
that you can
bad
get at the
taste,
drugstore
folks.
that's like an alien like kidnapping a man. It's that, but it's like Daniel Penny choke holding Jordan Neely on the F train.
Okay, this one's worth responding to. I hope that guy who shot the United Healthcare CEO comes to your event, if you know what I'm saying. I know how that sounds, but she's hoping an actual murderer comes to her event. I'm simply implying that a cooler, more popular murderer should also come to her event. If it's open season on murderers, should have the coolest one. Oh, looks like I ratioed her. Oh, she's not gonna like that. Oh, and she posted a Wojak calling me gay. Calling for political violence? And, just because you take money from Peter Thiel doesn't mean that you're actually a politician. Tons of Russian ops like yourself take money to shill fascist bullshit on their podcasts. You've got more in common with Tim Pool than you do with any politician.
I never received money from Russia. We never were given any money to create anything. Tenet Media and
it was all laundered through Tenet Media. I mean, obviously you weren't getting paid in rubles.
And just like any Russian op, Anna comes with her very own set of Nazi reply guys who will bombard you with gore and death threats to white knight for her. Lots of these Nazi accounts are guys that Anna interacts with on a regular basis. Take Howling Mutant here, for example.
Howling Mutant. Mutant, how are you doing?
It's nice to finally get the credit I deserve from one of these introductions as a right-wing influencer, I don't understand how anyone on the right is not pro Elon Musk. If you go on Twitter, it's like, can you say shit on Twitter now without getting banned? So like what Elon Musk has done for for just being able to have a level playing ground where right-wing ideas can be not even promoted, but like put forth without there being the thumb on the scale that is in favor for the left is incredible.
Anna has mentioned Howling Mutant in over 100 tweets, which is a lot of times to interact with a Nazi. But what's even more interesting is when those interactions started. It all comes back to 2022, within just a few months of her private meeting with Peter Thiel and Curtis Yarvin.
Full disclosure, I mentioned a couple of episodes back, right, that a reporter had contacted me and about Peter Thiel, and I didn't say more, but this is what this ended up as.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I said this to the reporter. I was like, listen, I don't know anything about Peter Thiel or his investment strategy, but it's very clear that it's like a volume game for him. As I said before, he just like flings darts at a board and then something sticks.
It's almost funny how much of an outright hypocrite Anna Kachian is.
Yeah, I am a hypocrite.
What I love the most about Trump is that it's amazing that guy is now the figurehead, the leader of the Republican Party.
Trump is also like too much of a pog to be a fascist. But at least I have the self-awareness to love Trump for what he is.
She publicly praised Daniel Penny as a hero for killing an unarmed black person, while the same day speaking out against Luigi Mangione, the guy who shot the United Healthcare CEO. If you really think that all murder is bad and wrong, then how is it not despicable to you that Daniel Penny murdered someone? And to anyone who wants to say, oh, well, he was acquitted. OJ was acquitted too, you dummy.
Did you do it?
No, I didn't. Nope. Did not do it.
After we finished filming, OJ said to me that he had a surprise for me, and I genuinely was surprised. I think it was his idea of a joke, and this is it.
I guarantee you the same people who say that Daniel Penny isn't a murderer because he was acquitted would not say the same thing about O.J. Simpson.
But O.J. also murdered his wife.
Yeah, in cold blood. Oh, nice. Wait, that's really hot.
Yeah.
I'll offer to suck him off.
I mean, that right there is what's so special about the Red Scare podcast. Their own words contradict them all the time. But I guess that's what happens when you become a professional sellout.
My name is Alex Novell. In New York City, I dwell. In the darkness of the night, I make up stories to tell. I don't care for the truth. I wanna distort your views. I'm a backstabbing, fat, disingenuous rat.